How is it that some of these artists can be playing at Lost Lands in these big venues, but then they can only sell a 500 cap everywhere else? Like, how does that all work? Are the venue people just trying to fill slots, or?
So some artists know their place. And I don't say this like in a demeaning way, like know your place, but they know where they do really well. And so like have you ever heard of someone say, oh, they're a Vegas act?
Yeah.
They do well in Vegas, right? So some artists, they can't pull an audience on their own, right? I wouldn't call Virtual Riot one of these artists, but I would think that he would do better on a festival stage. Like more people would have more access to his music on a festival stage than if he were to do a single tour by himself. I feel like he would actually.
Is that just because of brand recognition right now? Or?
It could be a mix of both. Like, you have to think about value for product. And this is so awful that I'm thinking about this in the way that I am with my love of music. And it's like, this is, if anyone ever comments on this, be like, this guy doesn't belong in the music industry. It's all about money for him. But like, it's the unfortunate reality that it's probably not as, it's probably not as realistic for Virtual Riot to say, I'm going to headline my own tour and go around the country and rent out all my venues and do that, as opposed to being on the festival circuit, right? If you get picked up on the festival circuit, could be fairly lucrative because festivals have more money because they have larger crowds and lower expenditures than a venue does. Because I don't know if you've ever been to a festival, pretty bare bones. We're talking porta potties, dirt fields, lower margins or larger margins. And so on a festival circuit, you would probably get paid, depending on your exposure, you'd probably get paid a little bit easier than if you were to have to own your own tour, and then you'd have to do all the calculations at the very end of the tour and see what you made versus what you lost. Whereas with festival shows, it's like play the show, they send the check. So for a DJ, particularly doing the festival scene, could be a lot more lucrative than doing their own tour. And I think that's a natural progression. When you see an artist and they are getting to the point where they can do their own shit, that's how you know that they've finally made it. They're not just grinding out the festivals. They're not just hitting all the clubs. They're like, hey guys, super excited to announce that I'm going on tour. I'm headlining my own tour. Like that's the next echelon, right, for an artist. So you look at someone like a Billie Eilish, who's been very highly documented throughout her career, and her career skyrocketed super fast. So you get this really unique experience of watching an artist grow from like this person who is basically on SoundCloud to someone who is literally at the top of the game, selling out stadiums across the world. And you can see the perfect step ladder progression from one level to the next. Plenty of artists follow that, but it's really cool to see with her because she's done it so fast, and she's also really young. So you get to see like what it really looks like, especially at that young age, to hit that next echelon in your career and to be able to own more and more of your business and to be able to profit more and more because of the hard work that you put in realistically. Because I think to me, it seems really realistic as an artist to just take the wins as they come, collect the paychecks, make your tunes, play your shows, and that's it, and not having to think about, okay, what if I own my own manager, my management company, I own my own team, I pay their salaries, got my own venues or my own, in Excision's case, his own festival to work on. That's two artists at two very different places at the end of their music career, just like a business owner, the guy who builds a business, takes the paycheck as it comes, doesn't innovate on the business, much, continues to rent out his capital, to rent facilities, versus the guy who builds and the guy who is like, how can I bring that in-house? How can I own that? How can I, instead of renting my assets, I'm going to own them? Those two guys are different places at the end of their career, one guy's a millionaire, one other guy's a multi-centillionaire.